Hare Krishna, I hope not, Maharaj. Then we'll be behind and late in everything.
Simply fit what's happening in Kali Yuga.
Unfortunately, Maharaj.
How's things in the U.S.? Are things still falling apart?
One thing I know, Maharaj, is groceries are very expensive. That much I know.
Really, very expensive.
Yeah, some things are the same, some things are going up, some things is not available. I was just talking to my dad the other day, and one of his favorite simple homemade crackers is out of stock, and he's very sad about it.
Yeah, could crack you,
Yes, Maharaj. He likes those simple crackers.
Yeah, that's a luxury. Really get into the essentials.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes. And as the weather is changing, it's getting colder. It's definitely like fall. Busy preparing for we have our 8-hour kirtan at the temple this Saturday, Maharaj.
Nice, nice.
We started doing it twice a year now. First we were doing it once a year. Now we increased it to the spring and Kartik. So now we started doing twice a year. So we have our second.
I have a humble suggestion.
Yes, Maharaj.
I was talking to some devotees here, and we were talking about the world situation. And it's one of the plans to get the devotees really involved with pushing back the effects of Kali Yuga and bringing in Lord Chaitanya's golden age. They want to start what they call kirtan ashrams for every temple.
Mm.
That means there would be like a building where you just have devotees. Of course, may not apply with a congregational temple, but this is more like a live-in temple where the devotees would live there at the congregational kirtan building, and then they would go out every day, maybe twice a day, and do harina. So that's a program we want to push around the world now and see if we can get it. Yeah.
That'd be really, really powerful. Yes.
Yeah, we got to mobilize the devotees understanding that the whole Western world is falling apart. And in order for us to keep our movement moving and to save the conditioned souls who are going to be part of this fallout, we need to mobilize Harinam more and more. But that's one idea. How to implement that is a concern. It's mostly for temples who have live-in devotees. But I would suggest for temples such as the one you manage is that they would do kirtan more often.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe once a week, you can have kirtan at the temple starting early in the morning around 10. Mm-hmm. Go to 6 o'clock in the evening, have nice lunch in the middle, and then in the evening have some more prasadam. That would attract people. And just have kirtan in the temple, like that. And that'll generate a lot of spiritual energy and also will attract more people to come.
I will definitely put the word out in March and try and work with devotees to see how we can make it happen, because that would be really amazing. Yes, at least once a week.
And you can also keep your eye on, see who's traveling in the area and invite them to come to kirtan. Like you're not too far from New York, and New York's got a great kirtan ensemble there.
Oh, I think they call the NYC Harinam, I think is what they call themselves, with Ramarai Prabhu.
Yeah, they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
There's many devotees who live in the New Jersey and New York area who are kirtaniers. So many,
yes.
really.
Definitely.
So, I mean, that would be an inspiration for the whole congregation. And then you can also employ the local devotees also in kirtan.
Definitely, Marge. I'm going to I'll put the word out. Get some feel from the congregation and how we can start this soon. That'll be really nice.
It's uplifting, purifies the atmosphere, and pushes back the effects of Kali Yuga very strongly.
I'm making notes of your comments, Marge, so I can use your words.
You know, you want to push it. I'm thinking of how to put together a little program that maybe different temples can adopt.
Hmm.
On a larger scale, we're also thinking how to fund that. So the temples wouldn't have to be burdened with the finances of getting a separate, and we could fund each of the temples, and so they can have a rental hall or have a building of their own where they could regularly do kirtan every day. And not only that, go out into the streets and do kirtan.
Mm.
This is the only thing that's going to change the face of Kali Yuga and bring in Lord Chaitanya's movement, is mass Harinam all around the world.
Yes, Marge. I'm catching your keywords and putting my notes down so I can use that to help the devotees get enthusiastic about starting one here at least once a week.
And there's a nice pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya marched on the house of Chand Kazi in
Ah,
to the Kazi coming in and breaking the drums of the devotees, and how Lord Chaitanya personally organized and took part in that Harinam, where millions, literally millions of living entities appeared from all over the universe to take part in that kirtan. With Nityananda, Advaita, and all the leading devotees were there chanting and dancing. And how it just, the whole atmosphere became so powerful that even people who were gross materialists were pulled into the kirtan and took part. Even the thieves, people who were thieves, actually started to chant and dance also. So, of course, Lord Chaitanya is still here in his unmanifested form, but he's here in the form of his Sankirtan movement. So we have something that's very, very powerful coming right from the spiritual world. We just need to organize it and propagate it.
yes, Marge.
It'll change the whole world, literally, if devotees really take it seriously and get involved. There are many places that are doing that, but it's kind of, not many, but some places. It's kind of spotty. Imagine having a Harinam crew in every major temple around the world. Go out every day, Harinam, maybe even do books also.
Mm. Mm. I'm definitely going to play this part of the class after the class is over, Marge, so I can, if you don't mind, Marge, if I can steal your words and your
Please,
comments. And
not
thank
only
you.
steal them, but propagate them also.
Thank you, Marge. I'll definitely do that because I really like what you said, and it was very inspiring and uplifting, as you said, and using your words will definitely, inspire and uplift the rest of the devotees in the congregation to start the
It's
chanting.
going to be something we're going to have to do in order to not be affected by the fallout in Kali Yuga, which is coming more and more regularly. Yeah, and it's also it'll usher in Lord Chaitanya's golden age.
Ah,
This is what it takes to bring in that golden age. I mean, in a very powerful way.
got it.
Yeah, we have
Thank you.
something very precious, and that is the congregational glorification of Krishna's name. cannot be, it's from the spiritual world. It has nothing to do with this material world. And it was the means for auspiciousness on every level of existence, personal, uh, congregational, worldwide, everything. Everything centers around the holy name. We can get devotees to take it seriously and go out every day. Actually, in a temple in Slovenia, even during the lockdown time, we were defying some of the lockdown rules and regulations and still going out. And it was amazing. We were distributing books and doing Harinam, not only through because the winter time was a little, many people weren't out on the streets, but when it was, when the weather was decent, even if it was cold, it was decent. We were out there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I will definitely work on this, Marge.
I'm sure
'Cause it
you could,
is,
inspire some. You have some really sincere devotees in that area.
yes, yes, yes. At least once a week, like you said, will be really powerful.
Yeah, just once a week you do it right in the temple, and
Mhm.
then maybe like once a month you can do it in the streets.
Mm.
That would be a suggestion. Of course, you could figure out how to plan it, but because even now, when we go out, sometimes people who are from America say, "Where were you guys? We haven't seen you in a long time."
It's so true, Marge. In fact, I think March it was, I'm trying to think when it was a few months ago, we had we took part in the street fair. I think it was April or June, and one person came up to our table and she said, "Where were you?" And she lives in Harrisburg, amazingly. She said, "Where were you guys? The last time I saw you guys, I was in the parade at San Francisco Golden Gate in 1967. I was like, oh, it was hilarious. And she said, and I saw the old Indian Swami, and she really remembers that. 1967, Maharaj.
Yeah, she's been blessed. She's
I
also
mean,
she's reminding us also.
yes. So she was happy and she came and she got some books. And we had, I think, some cookies or something, and she gave us some Mama Prasadam. It was really interesting. Yes, I see that much.
Yeah, and the Harinams that we do in Europe are a little different. We accompany our Harinams with book distributors who
Yeah.
circle around the Harinam, and that makes people more receptive to the books. And we also have like ladies with baskets full of cookies. So we pass out cookies or some kind of, yeah, cookies or something like, mostly it's cookies or some nice sweet balls or something. And that really, that attracts, like the kids and some of the parents also.
We started doing that too, just like what you said, March. We found out that doing the Harinam together with book distribution has been more effective than just Harinam or
Yeah,
just book distribution. When you put them together, we find
right.
it to be more effective.
Yeah, they go together really well. We have one book distributor there. And he'll go out for 2 hours with the Harinam, come back with distributing over 100 books.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, he's empowered.
Amazing. March, we have 21 people, well, excluding you and me, we have 19.
Okay.
So
Maybe,
we got some time, got them rolling in.
yeah. All right, so we'll begin today's lesson from CC. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 97. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishnera Srupera Hoyam Sarvida Vilas Prabhava Vaibhava Rupe Dvij Vide Prakash. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, enjoys himself in 6 primary expansions. His 2 manifestations are Prabhava and Vaibhava. Purport. Now, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita turns to the description of the personality of Godhead Krishna in his innumerable expansions. The Lord Brahma expands himself in 2 categories, namely Prabhav and Vaibhav. The Prabhav forms are fully potent like Sri Krishna, and the Vaibhav forms are partially potent. The Prabhav forms are manifested in relationship with potencies, but the Vaibhav forms are manifested in relationship with excellencies. The potent Prabhav manifestations are also 2 varieties, temporary and eternal. The Mohini, Hams, and Supla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavs who are not very famous, according to material estimations, are Dhanvantari, Rishab, Vyas, Dattatreya, Kapila. Among the Vaibhav Prakash forms are Kurma, Matsya, Narayan, Varaha, Hayagriva, Krishnagarbha, Baladev, Yagna, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikuntha, Ajita, Vamana, Sarvabhauma, Rishabha, Vishvaksena, Dharmasetu, Sudama, Yogeshwara, and Brihad Banu. On to the next verse. Amsa Sakivesha Rupe Dvivida Datara Bhavya Poganda Dharma Dvita Prakar. His incarnations of 2 kinds, namely partial and empowered. He appears in 2 ages, childhood and boyhood. The Vilas forms are 6 in number. Incarnations are 2 varieties, namely Sakyavesh, empowered, and Amsavesh, partial. These incarnations also come within the category of Prabhav and Vaibhav manifestations. Childhood and boyhood are 2 special features of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, but his permanent feature in his eternal form as an adolescent youth. The original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is always worshipped in his eternal adolescent form. Umagyan Timiram Dasya Ganatira Salakaya Chakstu Unnavitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaye Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachari Nirvises Sunyavadi Paskapya Resitane Panchakalpa Tarupescha Kripa Sindhupe Pacharpatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we're seeing more of the intricate categories of Krishna's different manifestations of himself in the different incarnations and the categories within the different incarnations. Prabhava and Vaibhava are 2 manifestations, and one is they also are, some are empowered, some are partial, some are temporary, some are eternal. So the different categories of the Lord's manifestations and their different features they display are categorized accordingly. This helps us to appreciate even greater the complexity of the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth, who is, you'll see in some, not to minimize any other religious organization, but they say, well, God is the Father, and then, or God is your, he's your well-wisher, he's the all-powerful protector, he's all good, he is everywhere. But here we find in the Vedic literature, you get into the intricacies of these different manifestations of the qualities of Krishna and the different categories. And that will, you can appreciate more how intricate and how complex the nature of the absolute truth is. But if we actually take it and apply it in our own example in a material way, we find also that we might use an example of a person who is, say he's an executive in a corporation. So he has a particular profile in that organization. When he's out on the golf course, he has a different profile. When he is with his friends, maybe swimming, he has a different profile. When he's with his children, different profile. When he's in the intimate association of his wife, he's again seen in a different way, or he features himself in different ways according to the relationships he plays in this world. And he may also have different titles. He may be seen as an executive and have a particular title as an executive. And then he is also has his name, and then he also has his maybe nickname or pet names, or his wife also may have some intimate name she calls him. So you see, even in the material world, a different person will have so many complexities to their own individual existence. And so here we're seeing the same thing with Krishna, but these features are much harder to understand than our different relationships that we encounter in the material world. But they help us to understand the complexity. And here it says that childhood and boyhood are two special features. Now the word special really means that they appear and they disappear. Of course, there is one sampradaya called the Vallabha Sampradaya, which worships Krishna in Bal Krishna or as baby Krishna. But generally, Krishna is worshipped as Kishore Krishna, as Krishna's birth. And that is his eternal adolescent form. So all of our deities in the temple, you'll see, are full-size Radha and Krishna deities, and they illustrate his age as Kishore, a youth, along with his internal energy, Srimati Radharani. Both of them are in their teenage years, and which is the height of their, what you say, age categorized development. And so, as Prabhupada would say, we worship Kishore Krishna, or Krishna in his sweet form and the eternal, who danced the rasa dance and has relationships with the damsels of Vrindavan. So the manifestations and the different categories of Krishna's existence are really wonderful. And to get deeper into this, if you go into the 20th chapter of Adi Lila, you'll find in a very intricate, detailed explanation of that entire these categorization. And this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to Sanatana Goswami. And in that, he describes this whole chapter. I can't really say a particular verse, but the whole chapter centers around his describing the different Vaibhava Vilas, Vaibhava Prakash, Amsa, Viganamsa, the different manifestations of Krishna. Here it says here, describes the incarnations such as Purusha avatars, Manvantar avatars, Guna avatars, Shaktivesh avatars. You also have your Lila avatars. You have Swayam Rupa, Tareka, Ekatma, also Avesh. And these are the different branches known as Vaibhava and Prabhava. So here you get more into the different, in the chapter we are reading, we're hearing a little bit about general principles. If you go down to the page, go down to the later verses in this chapter, I think you'll find more and more of the details, explanations given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It starts down, way down into the chapter, and not so soon. Here we go here, and then you get, he speaks about the expansions of Krishna actually. He talks about Mahavishnu, the total material energy, the different forms, the different universes, the different, what they call the Vishnu incarnations, where they hold their different symbols in different hands, which indicates different incarnations of the Lord accordingly. So there's 24 major Vishnu forms. That's all described. Yeah, if you go a little bit up the chapter, you'll find some more verses that describe some of the details. Yeah, go back a little bit, I think. Yeah. This is very technical, but very interesting because it brings us into the complexity of the nature of the supreme absolute truth. And for the sake of explanations, the incarnation manifests itself as Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead. From him expands Balaram. Balaram expands as the Chaturvyuha. Chaturvyuha is made up of 4 manifestations of the absolute truth known as Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Sankarshana. From that Chaturvyuha comes the Narayan manifestations of the Lord, which make up the whole Vaikuntha realm. And then there's unlimited planets, and some of those planets are as big as our universes. And so there's unlimited planets in the spiritual world managed by a particular Narayan incarnation who is worshipped in that particular planet. And then from the Narayan incarnations, the second chapter of Yuha manifests Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. And from the second Sankarshan expands into Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu begins the unfolding of the material creation. And from Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshay Vishnu. From Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes Lord Brahma. From Garbhodakshay Vishnu then comes the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, the 3 manifestations of the Vishnu incarnations, which bring about the functions of all the material energies and also manifest the living entities in their next sojourn in the material world. So all of these are quite interesting. We should study this. This particular chapter, chapter 20 here, will give you a very detailed explanation. I think it starts from say earlier verses in this chapter. And yeah, you get real detailed explanations of the different categories of things. Then you can really appreciate the nature of the absolute truth. It's so complex and so diverse, so intricate, and so full of spiritual variety that everything is nicely organized. Prabhupada would sometimes use the example, just like in the state, you have your executive head, and then he has his ministers, cabinet members, and then you have the military, and then you have the different agencies, and then you have the different categories of agencies who work on both the federal level and the state level. And so you see a very intricate and very complex variety of management, even in the material world. So all of this is actually a reflection of the reality of the spiritual world, where it's even more complex and more varied. But by hearing this and reading about this and understanding it, we awaken our bhakti. Our bhakti becomes stronger and stronger as we hear more about the nature of the absolute truth and how he manifests himself in different ways. And his incarnation as Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is the gateway for all of the incarnation that come from the spiritual world into the material world. It's interesting. It's more like the immigration process. I don't know if that's a good example or not. As the Lord wants to appear in the material world, he goes through the gateway of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, says he appears from Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. But he is superior to Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. It's just his means for entering into the material world, one of his functions. And the Lord's categories are so, there's 16 major energies of the Lord, and in those 16 energies, there's sub-energies. He has his Kriya Shakti, he has his Bala Shakti, he has his, what else? Shri Bhu, his Bhu energy, his Shri energy, all of these things are there. And then he has many more categories of himself. His Samvit energy, which is the manifestation of how he knows everything, everywhere, at all times. The Ladini Shakti is his internal pleasure energy, where he experiences pleasure through that energy, which is manifested by Srimati Radharani, who is the controller of the internal pleasure energy known as Ladini Shakti. Samvit, what is the Samvit, Ladini, and Sandini. Sandini is his eternal aspect by which he maintains the entire spiritual world. So all of these different aspects of the absolute truth are all very interesting to learn, and we should make a study of this, because just like you go to school when you want to learn a subject matter, you study the subject matter according to the texts that are given, and you may also refer to other texts to support more understanding and information. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is really quite complex in describing the nature of the spiritual world and the different manifestations of the Godhead and the different roles they play. Like it says in the first verse we met, there's in one manifestation, he divides himself into his excellence and into his supreme power. His excellence are his qualities, such as his beauty, his fame, his knowledge, his strength, his renunciation, and his wealth. All of these are his excellencies. And so when he manifests a particular incarnation, just like, for instance, in his Vamana incarnation, the dwarf Brahmana who appeared in the assembly of Bali Maharaj, he manifested his excellence as beauty. He was so beautiful that immediately he attracted the attention of everyone as soon as he walked into that assembly. So Krishna uses his excellences in order to perform his pastimes in the material world. And one manifestation may be more than the other, just like in his excellence as Lord Balaram, he exhibits tremendous amounts of strength. So you can see how Parasya Shakti Vidhaya Suyate Svabhagaviki Gnana Balakriya Cha. What is that verse? Maybe you can find this verse. It's I just quoted the third and fourth line. Parasya Shakti Vidhaya Suyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya Cha. I can't remember the first two lines of the verse, but it's in the Sweta Svatara Upanishads. Yeah, you can find it there. And I think it's verse 3.35, if I'm not mistaken.
Marge, can you say that verse again so I can type it out here, Marge?
Yeah, it's in the Sweta Svatara Upanishad. Sweta Svatara, S-C-A-R-A, but that's all one word. Upanishads. And see if you can find that verse there. I think it's let's see. It's quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita somewhere. But look for 3.36. Maybe that, I think it's 3.36 or 3.35 in the
Chaitanya
Upanishad.
Charitamrita in which Leela, Maharaj? Madhya
No.
Leela?
Well, no, I'm still talking about the Upanishad.
Probably if I do it this way, it might help. Let me just check if I can do a Swetara. Oh, Upanishad. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Chapter
Let's see.
3, you said, Marge?
Let's see.
Well, it's going to. I should put ISKCON over there. That's going to come out the right way, I guess.
I'm not with the Svatara Upanishad. Let's see. Parasya Shakti Vidahaya Suyate. I guess you
Oh,
can
that's. I
use
think
that.
I went to the Vani quotes.
Mhm.
That's two quotes by. It says Chaitanya Charitamrita is 3:1 and 3:2. Is that it, Maharaj?
I'm not sure where it is in the CC, yeah. But it might be there. Oh, let's
Okay,
see.
let me.
Yeah, here it is. Here, okay, here it is. I think purport 322. And if you go back up the page a little bit. It was 322. I was just reading the translation there.
322. Let me go up again, Maharaj. This one right here, Maharaj?
No. Let's see. Let's see. That's the let's see. That's not it. Go down the page a little bit. Let me see. Next one. Okay, stop right there. Yeah, keep going. 38. Maybe. Let's see. Keep going. Let's see. Maybe you can just do a search. Parasya. Parasya.
Parasya.
But wait, think I saw it. Mm.
It's Madhya Lila
Oh, there it is. Oh, here it is. Okay.
1365.
11, where it says 1143 purport. Natasha Karyam Karanam Chuvidyate. Natasa Marta Charita Drishyate. Parasya Sati Virhaya Suyate. Prabhavika Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So Bhagavad Gita 1143 purport. It's there. Well, here it always in it was in the previous verse too.
It was in the previous verse. Okay, then it took me
Um,
to this verse instead. So I'll go back, Maharaj.
Mhm. It's really amazing verse. Here, okay, I saw here. Oh, go down again.
Go
Down.
down. Okay.
It's right there, right at the top of the page. Okay, stop right there. Where is it? I lost it.
Oh, you said Parashya. Let me try that again.
This is the
P-A-R-A.
verse here. Sweta Upanishad
It's a bit
6.8.
up, Mataji. Just
It's
one
bit
verse
up?
above.
Okay.
Scroll up.
It's 6.8, Sweta Sutara.
Yeah,
Is
I
this
think
it, Maharaj?
yeah, 8.22
Here
purport.
It says CC Madhya Lila's 1365 purport. So shall I go there, Maharaj?
Yeah.
Okay. 60 Madhya 1365. Madhya 1365.
Let's see if there's an explanation of the verse.
Is that it, Maharaj?
Yeah, Parasya Shakti. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there you go. Parasya Shakti Vihaya Suyate Prabhava Jnana Bala. The Supreme has multi-potency, which acts so perfectly that all consciousness, strength, and activity are being directed solely by his will. So then you can read. And that was an example of how the Lord appeared in all of the different Sankirtan groups at the same time. And every group thought that he was in only their particular group. So that was a manifestation of that, one of his energies, where he appears in different places and he can only be seen where he is, not from outside, unless he gives that vision. Yeah. Sometimes he manifests these for the sake of performing his pastimes. But here, here's the summary. All of his energies act so perfectly. They have consciousness, strength, activity, and are being directed solely by his will, which means that he simply desires something to happen. And then all of a sudden the energies jump into action and it manifests his will accordingly. So Krishna doesn't have to go anywhere to get things done. All he has to do is think or just desire. He doesn't even have to think. All he has to do is want something to happen. And automatically the energies immediately start moving in that direction. And they manifest according to his will, and they're always perfect. So he's all power, therefore he's all powerful, therefore he's everywhere at the same time, and at the same time, he's not everywhere, he's localized in the spiritual world, or in the hearts of all his devotees, or all living entities. So Krishna is amazing. He's everywhere at the same time he's in one place. But he can appear anywhere through his energies, or he can, or his energies can manifest his will through his own desire. When you know all of this, you only have one thing to say: how can I surrender, Lord? It's not, I have no independence. I have nowhere to go. Everything is you. Everything is controlled by you. Everything is ultimately meant for your service. when we wake up to that reality, then we understand that devotional service is the only activity of the living entity. That's all. All other activities are just ephemeral. It's more like dream states of existence that simply cause one to waste time doing things that don't have anything. Just like when you go to sleep at night, you waste time. You don't do anything. And then in the end, then you create another world. Then you're in your sleep state, which is known as the dreaming state. And then there you act in a certain way. And here you're going through your whole life experience, and sometimes in a dream. But it's all a dream. It's a waste of time. Has nothing to do with you at all. And so, yeah, so when we understand that even this material manifestation on the gross level, which we are every day in contact with, is another form of that same dream state, although it appears to be more real than the dream state. Actually, it's not more real, it's only more permanent, or we might say longer lasting. The difference between dream existence and our waking existence is simply a duration of time. That's all. We're also dreaming where I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an Indian, I'm an Afro, I'm Caucasian, I'm old, I'm young, I'm sick, I'm rich, I'm happy, I'm miserable. These are all forms of the same dream state. Our real existence is spiritual. Everything else is just like a created mental concoction, which is called dream. That's why Lord Chaitanya says the whole material world is simply a mental concoction. Oh. But it seems so real that we can't really step aside from that reality and see it for what it is. There's so much in it. But as we decrease our desire to enjoy in the material world, we also can start to see ourselves different from everything material. And we are functioning in the material world through our existence as a spiritual being, but we're using material energy to function, that's all. And then we see ourselves different. So sometimes we say, just step back and watch yourself and see, and just watch your thoughts, watch your activities, watch how you do things, and do it from a position of neutrality. Don't judge it. Don't get involved in it. Just watch it. And then you can see, you can be part of it or you cannot be part of it. You have that choice. But because we have the material desires, we all become part of it. Just like there are people who leave their body and they float outside of their body, in their subtle body, and they can move around in their subtle body. But because they still have gross material desires, they are forced to come back into their material body again by that power of those desires. Or when, just like the yogis, when they free themselves from all material desires, then they can elevate themselves to different planets within the created universes, simply by the power of the yogic practice. They can go from planet to planet, and they can go from place to place. Some powerful yogis can even go to the outskirts of the spiritual world. So stepping back helps us to reflect on our existence in this material world. But we like it here. We think, what would I do without my husband, my wife, my kids, my cooking pots? Well, how would I live? It's not so bad. It's this example of, Prabhupada tells the example of Indra. When Indra committed an offense in the heavenly planets, he was kicked out of heaven. He was cursed to take birth as a pig in the material world. So now he's a pig, and he's surrounded by his pig wife and all his pig kids. And he's oinking away and eating stool, wallowing in the mud. And then, but there's nobody to manage the heavenly planets. And so there's problems in the heaven. So they contact Lord Brahma, hey, you got to bring Indra back here. There's this chaos here because nobody's managing. So Brahman goes to Indra, who's now in the form of a pig in the material world, and says, Indra, you got to come back to the heavenly planets and manage. He says, well, how can I do that? I got my pig wife, I got my kids, I got my nice mud, and there's some really fresh stool that I haven't really tried yet. I'm looking forward to that to tonight's dinner. So all of these things, this pig like Indra is just like, he can't see himself leaving that. He's so attached to it. So Brahma's thinking, what am I going to do? We need Indra back, and he's so attached to his pig life. And so Brahman arranges for his kids to start getting killed one after another. And then his wife, and then there's nothing left except him and his mud and his, dried off stool. So then finally, when there's nothing left, then he says, all right. So the living entity is like that. No matter how bad our situation is, we won't give it up. Because we think it's the best. Prabhupada talks about, in this place called Greenland. Greenland is just like, it's just ice. That's all it is. People live in these igloos, these ice houses. And they're like, it's really cold. But now if someone said to you, could you live like that? You would think, my God, that's horrible. But there are people like that who they like it. That's what they were brought up in it. They think this is it. Don't take me out of my igloo. Because, that's all they know. Or that's all they want to know. So yeah, the living entity gets so attached to this material world that it takes a catastrophe to really uproot that attachment. Sometimes cataclysm with some calamity in their life, and they start to think, well, maybe it isn't so nice down here. Therefore, when we understand from the point of view of the absolute knowledge from Shastra, from Guru, that this whole material world is simply controlled, and the spiritual world and the realms in between, everything is controlled, operated, and managed by the Supreme Personality, either directly or through his different energies. Nothing, and it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and this verse is mentioned here, Maya Dakshena Prakriti, Suyate Sacharacharam, Etunana Konteya Jigat Vipar Vipartante. See if you can bring up the, no, it's the other way. You have to go the other way. You're going the wrong way. Go down the page. Yeah. There you go. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated. Right? So this material energy, all of it, not just part of it, is all one of Krishna's energy. And he is in complete control of this energy through his different smaller energies, which manifest his will through different aspects of the material energy. And that's the same with his Parasya Shakti Vihaya Suyate. His spiritual energies are also manifesting his leelas, his pastimes, his relationships in with his devotees. Everything is controlled and operated by Krishna at all times, at all places, everywhere. And to know that means there's no other thing you do, just Hare Krishna. Can't get away from Krishna. He's there. So you can have him as your jailer, or you can have him as your lover. You can choose which one you want. He's either your jailer or your lover. Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class and taking us through this journey. I was really having a question in my mind, but I would ask devotees to first, if anyone has any questions, any clarification. I'm just going down the list so I don't miss anybody. We have about 23 participants. I want to make sure. And if you have a question, if you could just raise your hand, actually, I'll stop sharing. That would be better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't miss anybody. And if you could turn on your videos, that would be nice, so that we can have each other's we can see each other and do a little bit of association on Zoom, if that's possible. Please do turn on your camera. If there are any questions, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. And the way you ended it was so inspiring and thought-provoking. Krishna can either be a jailer or a lover. So I put it down. Krishna can be a jailer in the material world, or a lover in the spiritual. You were saying, though, that some of the yogis, so this is kind of outside the point, but you mentioned, though, some of the yogis can go beyond the spiritual world or outside the spiritual world, something. So then I said, what is outside the spiritual world?
I was thinking of the realm of Maheshdam, which is between material and spiritual world, which is the abode of Lord Shiva. Because the Brahma Samhita says Maheshdam, Haridam, and Devidam are the three realms of existence. Maheshdam is the realm of Shiva, Devidam is this material world, and Haridam is the spiritual world. So these are the three Dhams. So Shiva has his own separate realm that is in between the material and spiritual.
Spiritual.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Krishna is the controller of all the Dhams.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much.
Sri Devi, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this very exhaustive explanation of the incarnations, how the manifestations happen. As you were speaking, I was thinking about, the secondary Chaturvyuha, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and then Brahma, and so on. Now, Brahma is known as the secondary creator or the secondary engineer of the material universe. At the same time, Durga Devi is also in charge of the material universe. So I was wondering, how do those things overlap, or she's under Lord Brahma, or they work together?
Yeah, he's on the ground and he's in charge. It's more like the temple president and the temple commander. In other words, he put through what is that verse? Tene Brahma Yuda Adi Kapaya. That Krishna inspires Brahma within the heart and gives him all the knowledge he needs to know in order to execute his role as the secondary creator. And then having cultivated that knowledge, he manifests himself, or he expands himself into the through 10 different suns, who are the source of all of the upcoming manifestation after the latest interim annihilation. So those 10 manifestations are called, some of them are called Prajapati, just like Daksha is one of the sons. And they produce the living entities, and they also produce the different bodies of the manifestations. They don't produce the living entities, they produce the different bodies, the 8,400,000 species of life. And then when you get down, so when these manifest in the material world according to their different karma that was there when the last manifestation ended, they take birth again. And then on the level of karmic activities, then you have Durga Devi there. And she's the superintendent of the material world. She's like the jailer. The word Durga, Dur means go, and Ga means difficult. So Durga, another word for Durga is fort. So to get out of a fort is very difficult. So that's the analogy. So this material energy that the living entities are directly encased in is controlled by Durga Devi, who is Maya Devi herself, in one of her features. But Maya has many features. So Durga is one of those features. She's, you know, Vijaya, she's Ambika, she is Vajrakali, she is Vajra. She is different manifestations of herself to give the reactions of the living entities according to their level of material activities. Mostly in the modes of passion and ignorance. Okay. So she's on the ground. And Brahma is the source by which all of this unfolds. And he gets his power from Krishna himself. Directly. You might say Durga is an agent, is the agency in this material world.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
And then her sweeter side, she also manifests as a sweeter side, and that is the wife of Lord Shiva, as Parvati, who is the Durga is an expansion of Parvati, who also is known as Sati or Uma. So the female manifestations of the absolute truth in terms of their material surfaces are all within the realm of Shiva Shakti. That's why Shiva is called the father of all living entities. He is empowered just like the super soul. Shiva, there are three living entities who know everything about all living entities. That is Shiva, Yamaraj, and the Lord in the heart as Antaryami or super soul. Because in order to create the manifestations of the material energy, Krishna takes the help of Shiva. In his form as Mahavishnu. When Mahavishnu wants to create, he glances in a certain direction. That glance is picked up by Ramadevi and brought to the aggregate of the material energy, which is all of the energies in an unmanifested form. It's called Pradhan. And that glance is actually Shiva. And in that glance, there are three principles. There are the time factor, there are living entities that are in that glance, and it's an energy of Lord Shiva. It's a very bright halo. It's a glowing halo. And that's the glance of the Lord, which is actually non-different than Shiva. That's why when we say that actually Advaita Charya was a manifestation of Mahavishnu and Lord Shiva in one person. And this is very technical, but you can read about it in the second canto, some of it in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in other scriptures also that describe the unfolding of the creation.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So then, Durga Devi, being on the ground, she is the one who encages all the living entities in their different bodies. Is that correct?
She's Maya herself, but she's a certain element of that Maya energy.
Okay.
She rides on a, what is it? She rides on a tiger, right? And you'll see that sometimes she carries a sword and she's punishing the living entities. But Durga is a punishment agency, more or less, as opposed to Sati or Uma or Parvati, who is also part of the material energy. But she's not so much the punishing agency. She's more or less the agency that grants some kind of material benefits. Everything is highly organized, you know. You go into a mall, you find you have the different shops, and then you have the different clerks in the shops, and then you have the different categories of products. Everything is organized. You want one type of product, you go to one shop. You want a different product, you go to a different shop. You talk to the clerks and get the idea on how the product works. So you see, even when you're living in the material world, there's so many categories in order for you to access your desires. But all of this is controlled by Krishna, ultimately.
Hope that helps you, Devi.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of reading to be done to understand. It's a very complex subject matter. And what Guru Maharaj has given is a broad understanding for me to get the overall picture. So I'll have to do reading. Yeah, thank you.
If you really want to know a condensed version of all of this technicality, there is a series of lectures on the Brahma Samhita. The Brahma Samhita really opens up all of these complexities in a very detailed way. And that there's only one person I know in the entire ISKCON society that ever give a lengthy and very detailed description of this, and that was Tamal Krishna Goswami. And he did 2 series of lectures, one in 1990 in Mayapur and one in 1991 in Vrindavan. And so he takes the verses in the Brahma Samhita, and if you just listen to those verses, that explanation, each lesson is about an hour long with questions. It's amazing. You'll get a real insight of the complexity of the unfolding of the creation and the different aspects on how they work in relationship to that unfolding.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
And if
Thank you.
anybody wants to, yeah, I have a copy of these lectures, and I highly recommend the Vrindavan one, 1991. I think was even more developed than the 1991 he did in Mayapur. But it's so big, I can't really
I actually found Tathamakrishna Swami's tape ministry online.
Yeah, look for Pona Samhita, 1990, 1991.
Mars,
I don't
the
know
one that
anybody. I don't think,
Mars, the link that I posted here is from 1991 Vrindavan VIHE by Tathamakrishna Maharaj.
yeah, that's the best.
It has
It's,
all of it there.
And it's not lengthy, each lecture is an hour.
Mhm.
So the lectures, I think, how many lectures are there? You can swing
Maharaj,
it
he
out.
covered verses 1 through verses 62, and I think it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 20 lectures.
Right, that sounds right. So sit down and you can eat lunch to each one of those lectures every day. That's how I did it. I just was listening to it while I was taking lunch. Of course, if you want to do it directly, you can sit there and just listen. It's really interesting. I'm really inspired to listen to it again because it's so amazingly revealing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's still online. It says that Tathamakrishna Goswami tape ministry, and that's where it was on.
Right.
Any questions from devotees and any clarification? Marge, I have Dear Krishna, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such wonderful, wonderful points and inspiring us for the Kirtan in the beginning of the class. I have a question or concern about, what I have been observing, like if I consider myself, what is lacking in most of us is that risk-taking ability for Krishna. And that's what you all did. And that's how the whole movement exploded or, spread across everywhere. And if we just talk about going out and on the streets and do kirtan, I think we feel it's a risk. And certainly I lack that ability to take, these kind of risks. How to inspire ourselves like you all did in your early days. And even still keep on doing the same thing.
Just get together with a group of devotees and start discussing. You inspire each other. Discuss it and then start to see, based on your discussions, how you can actually implement it. Start off gradually, and then as you gradually develop it, you'll get more and more ideas how to expand it. But if you try to do it yourself, it becomes hard. You need to find others who are inspired by the same thing and a little group discussion. It's fun. Make your plans. Yeah, you're right. Our movement's getting a little bit sedated. The risk taking it's still being done in certain areas of the world. But in general, because we have so much material facilities now, we take it easy. In the early days, we didn't have any material facility, nothing, zero. All we had was Prabhupada's instructions.
Maharaj, how can we go beyond that? And I'm just piggybacking on Dear Krishna's question is that, and I like the word that you use, sedated, because that's a perfect way to describe it. Because because like you said, it's material comforts, and I know myself and Pressure, we've had this discussion. Is that when we get so comfortable materially, we don't want to put one step out of the house. So how can we really come out of a comfort zone, Marge? What does it take to come out of the comfort zone? How can we kick ourselves?
I was thinking something quite radical, but I think. Yeah, well, Maya's gonna force you ultimately, either you do it voluntarily or you're gonna be forced to do it just to survive. Your energy is becoming very, very. It's gonna be kicking. The United States is going through some tremendous purification right now. And a lot of it is just a reaction to the sinful activity. Unless we start to wake up to need of, well, we can, I think, I have an obligation. Srila Prabhupada and his devotees have been merciful, and then because of him, I have found my life in devotional service. Now let me do something. Now reciprocate the gifts that I have received. Let me do the same thing. Let me somehow or other get involved in spreading Krishna consciousness. As time goes on, we'll find we'll more or less forced to do it. But don't wait for that.
Did we lose Chandramani Swami? Yeah, we did. Okay, we can wait for him to come back. We'll wait for Marsh to come
Hare
back. I'm
Krishna.
sure he's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There he is.
yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay, let's see if there's any more comments or questions.
Maybe if we remember the time when the bombs were raining down on India and Srila Prabhupada went on Harinam at that time. Maybe that would give us some inspiration if the founder Acharya at the time can have us, can get some devotees to go out and chant in a critical time when anybody could leave their body at any time. Maybe if we get in that emergency mode, that would maybe inspire us to go out more.
They're doing that. They're doing that during the Ukraine war. The devotees are still coming together and preaching and associating and have kirtans. They're not able to move around so easy, but they're not leaving the country, staying there and preaching.
Very bold, wonderful.
Yeah.
Dear Krishna, would you like to ask more? Because I think there's something
No,
in your mind still floating.
yeah, because I was just wondering because Maharaj, right before the class, he was very serious about this thing. And I also heard recently from some a devotee that the reason the movement is not spreading so fast now because most of the temples, they are not going out and doing Sankirtan. And that's the reason we don't see enough devotees coming back or not enthusiastic. So thank you, Maharaj, for just steering at least our minds into that direction. Thank you.
I think we lost Maharaj again.
Yeah,
Must be.
he's
Oh,
back.
there he is. Harival. Go ahead.
Yes, connection is slow.
Yeah. I think the connection. Or at least we.
Maybe he can
Maharaj,
switch
you're
off
on mute,
video.
Maharaj.
No, I'm off mute. I'm not muted.
Oh, okay. Now, okay. Now we can hear you.
Okay. One more question, Maharaj. Very, very important question. When are you coming to Pennsylvania again?
when you start doing regular Harinam.
Oh, Dear Krishna, we have work to do, Dear Krishna. You and I have to talk. If not,
We will
Mark's
go
not
out
gonna
together, Maharaj.
come.
We'll go out together. We'll go out together.
Oh yes, Marsh. You know what, Marsh? That's a good idea, Marsh. Next time you come, Marsh, let's go out together for Harinam. Is that okay, Marsh? Please, please.
I would consider that the best part of my business.
It would be
Yeah.
ecstatic, Maharaj, if you were there downtown street Harinam. Oh my God, it's gonna be like fire.
Harrisburg it's got a good history of Krishna consciousness there. The roots, the seeds are still there.
Sridevi, go ahead. You have a question, please.
Yeah, it's exactly about this Harinam. I would love to join the Harinam. The Harinam here goes every morning, 6:30 to 8:30 every day. That means if I join that Harinam, I will be missing the whole morning program. Darshanarti, Guru Puja, class, everything. So I've always been hesitating because for me, morning program is very dear. I just love to be in the morning program. But this conflicts with the Harinam. So I'm in quandary now. Should I skip going to the temple and join the Harinam party? No.
Well, first of all, that's incorrect what you just said. There is 3 Harinams going on every day. There's one from 4 o'clock to 6 in the evening. There's one in midday and there's one in the morning. So if you just connect with Jivanath is inspiring all these Harinams and devotees are coming. Every Wednesday at the Samadhi Mandir, there is a Harinam program right during the Guru Puja. The Guru Puja starts at 7:30, and after that, there is a Harinam program inside. So every day I see the Harinam party. It's out there 3 times a day, every day, not just early morning.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for that reminder. You're right.
Yeah. Connect with Jiva. You know him, right?
Thank you, Maharaj. Any other questions from devotees before we lose Marge again because of the connection? I'm concerned. Any other last minute questions, clarification? Marge, there's one question that I wanted to ask Marge, and you spoke about, trying to find my notes here. You spoke about watching from the point of neutrality. And I was wondering, when a person is going through challenges, in material life, and at the same time, they really want to pursue spiritually, but sometimes the material life is so rocky that it affects, their mind or their emotions and whether to move forward. So how can one step aside and watch from a point of neutrality when they are in it, Maharaj, when they're dealing with so many challenges? Oops, I think I lost Maharaj again.
You just have to step back and do it.
Mm.
Before you can watch, you have to go out of it. It's like you watch the thoughts sometimes. You say, this is what's going on in my mind. And you see the thoughts and observe the thoughts. You don't analyze them or judge them, you simply watch. Yourself, how you're doing what you're doing. Step back. It's not a long-term thing, it's a quick thing where you just step back and just say, what do I have to do with anything that I'm around me right now?
Mm. Mm.
The only thing, because devotees will engage in devotional service, so it's valuable, it's real. But using that principle that any activity in this world is connected. And if we want to disconnect ourselves, we can also do that. What's the connection is our desire. What's the disconnection?
Mm.
But we, we take that desire at least within the mind.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, I'm sorry, Marge.
Only an exercise.
Mm. Thank you, Marge. Any other questions from devotees? Any thoughts, any clarification? Any questions on your mind that you would like Marge to clarify for us? And going down the list here, so I don't miss anybody. If there are no questions, Maharaj, what would you like me to do? Would you like to end with a round chanting before we lose your connection, or would you like to just end the class, Maharaj?
If you like.
Okay.
I
Hare
think you
Krishna,
can.
Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for that wonderful lecture. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so again, great thing about honor is to evolve the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama,
Shri Krishna. Krishna, Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Rama. People Sindhu Dev Vichara Pitanam
Pitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai. His Holiness Chandramalis, His Holiness Chandramalis Swami ki.
Jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you to all the devotees for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj. Hare
Krishna.
Thank
Krishna.
you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.